Tonight, the alarming number of weapons caught on kids at schools.
Traffic brought to a standstill after a crash at Raglan.
The Capricorn Coast in the grip of a heatwave.
And the Air Force veterans brewing community spirit.
This is 7 News with Brough and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
There are calls for a zero-tolerance approach to drugs and weapons being brought into our schools after new data reveal thousands of incidents were reported last year. A disturbing rise in vaping is believed to be driving up the numbers of drug-related incidents.
Confronting scenes are becoming common in Queensland schools. On the Sunshine Coast, a student allegedly armed with a knife sent classrooms into lockdown. In Rockhampton, 35 students were caught vaping in a toilet block, both videos painting a shocking picture of schools in 2023.
The state Labor government is losing control of safety in our schools.
In response to a question on notice, Education Minister Di Farmer revealed students were suspended or excluded 600 times for weapons-related incidents in 2023 and 6,000 times for drug-related incidents. That includes the use of tobacco and vaping.
We did see, particularly through 2023, a large spike in vaping incidences in our schools.
The state opposition is calling for a zero-tolerance approach to crack down on the behaviour.
This is jeopardising both student safety, but also the safety and welfare of teachers and staff.
And potentially adding more strain to a profession that's already under pressure.
We have students coming with increased complexity into our schools. We know that our schools are not properly resourced to do the full job that they need to do.
Jade Richards, 7 News.
Traffic on the Brough Highway at Raglan came to a standstill in both directions this morning after 2 cars crashed head-on around 11:30. Police say a man driving one of the cars suffered a mental health episode and he was taken to Gladstone Hospital for treatment. The driver and passenger in the other vehicle were not seriously injured.
Hot on the tail of ex-cyclone Kirrily, further north, we're now battling to keep cool during a heat wave. The Weather Bureau has released an extreme heat wave warning for parts of our region for this week.
Bags of ice are in high demand to combat weather packing a punch.
I just think with the humidity and then, all the festivities and things like that, it's just been a lot busier than usual.
Residents are doing what they can to escape the heat wave across Capricornia caused by ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's so hot.
That's why we've just been in the water since 11 o'clock, because there's nothing else to do but be in the water because it's too hot.
Drink beer. Sticky heat.
Local businesses are also prepared for an increased demand for ice cream and cold drinks.
We've put an extra couple of tables inside in the air conditioning so people can sit in the cool and enjoy their icy treat before it melts.
Everyone is being urged to keep hydrated and stay in shaded areas where possible to avoid heat stroke.
Very, very hot conditions to parts of the Capricornia. In fact, Rockhampton saw overnight minimum this morning of 27.8 degrees. In fact, that's an all-time record for the airport site.
Locals aren't the only ones feeling the heat. It was across much of the state today.
A deep tropical air mass across much of the state at the moment, and that's due to the combinating factor of a trough across southern and southeastern Queensland and the remains of ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily.
Some reprieve is expected by Wednesday with showers forecast.
I like the warm weather.
Freya Jetson, 7 News.
Nominations have opened for the next round of councillors. Mother of 2, Marika Taylor, has thrown her hat in the ring for Rockhampton Council's Division 7, which includes the suburbs of Park Avenue, Kawana and Parkhurst.
I've been in the Rockhampton region for 25 years, lived and worked here. I was born and raised in CQ, so I have a good grasp.
Marika says she wants residents to tell her what they need. Current Division 7 councillor Donna Kirkland won't recontest the seat as she prepares to run in this year's state election.
A living and affordability report has found Queensland has the highest rent, energy, insurance and health prices in the country. Residents are delving deeper into debt just to be able to afford essential items.
On average, a working family's weekly budget is in a $200 deficit as the cost of living crisis worsens.
There are hundreds of thousands of Queenslanders currently struggling just to afford the basics.
A Queensland Council of Social Service report reveals the state is paying the highest amount for essential items. That's despite Queensland having the strongest economy, with last year's surplus a record $14 billion.
People are making impossible choices between keeping a roof over their head, 3 meals on the table, and paying the electricity bills.
In the 12 months to August 2023, fuel went up 14%, electricity 12.7%, insurance rose 8%, rent and transport 7%, food and housing was up 6%, while education and health increased by 5%. The average price of a basket of groceries is now $70 more.
Older people and young people who are making choices about whether or not they have air conditioning, whether or not they buy medicine, whether or not they buy food.
Today, the Premier announced a housing plan pending Cabinet approval.
We're going to build more homes faster, and that will include incentives to fast-track development. We want to do more to help Queenslanders to buy their first home. We want to deliver more social homes, and we want to work towards ending homelessness in Queensland.
Caitlin Stedman, 7 News.
Queensland Health is under fire for dragging its heels on the installation of a PET scanner at Rockhampton Hospital. Federal member for Capricornia Michelle Landry says the equipment is ready to go, but patients still have to travel up to 3 hours to be seen.
Getting a PET CT scan in central Queensland is tough. People who do need a scan are already facing one of the most traumatic times of their lives.
I've had calls from community in a really distraught state, actually asking me, why doesn't Rockhampton have a PET CT scanner? We're having to travel 3 hours down to Bundaberg. Someone else, we're having to travel 3 hours up to Mackay.
The device takes detailed pictures of the inside of the body and shows both anatomical and metabolic activity, which is then used to diagnose and monitor various health conditions. Federal MP Michelle Landry says discussions between CQ Radiology and Queensland Health about the installation of a PET scanner have been ongoing for more than 2 years with no resolution.
We have the Assistant Minister for Health, Queensland Health, down here on the coast. What's she doing about this? It's about time that Queensland Health got their act together.
But while she insists it's a matter of approvals and getting the equipment installed, Brittany Lauger disagrees.
Michelle Landry needs to probably get her facts straight about that. There is no PET scanner there waiting to be installed.
To make matters worse, Rockhampton Hospital recently re-evaluated its priorities and a PET scanner wasn't one of them.
They have decided that the priority for the hospital right now is a brand new $90 million mental health unit and a cardiac hybrid theatre.
CQ Radiology oversees hospital imaging and blames the delay on a change in executive leadership.
We still don't have that traction at the top level.
Christian Penny, 7 News.
A husband and wife duo, both retired Air Force veterans, opened the doors to Gun Pit Cafe a year ago from their own backyard. What was originally a passion project has now turned into a social hub for residents of Bouldercombe.
In the small township of Bouldercombe, you'd be hard-pressed to find anything other than a service station, a pharmacy and a pub that's not open.
We're the first stop as you leave maybe Mount Morgan or Bouldercombe, and we're the last stop when you come home.
But local couple Rachel and Timothy Sesolka were inspired to create a community meeting spot to enjoy a coffee.
Gun Pit was created because of a want for myself, which was real coffee, but it's also now being created by the community as a little hub.
Named for a dugout that protects soldiers from direct fire, Gun Pit is providing a comfort zone for anyone in need of a morning pick-me-up, from veterans like themselves to tradies and parents.
The community really get to know the people who live around here. We moved to Bouldercombe. There was no coffee stop, so the best way to meet the people around the community is get a coffee.
Open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. till 11 a.m, Gun Pit uses coffee beans crafted by fellow Australian veterans.
It's becoming like a social gathering. There isn't really anywhere else that the locals gather.
All the profits made by the cafe go straight back to different veterans programs.
I just love these guys.
Oh, amazing. And good coffee?
Yeah, very good coffee.
Ibanez Taylor, 7 News.
Yeah, police is working out for you. We'll take a break in a moment. New research laying bare Gen Z's bedtime phone habits.
And the TV viewing choice for dogs that might help their eyesight. Thanks for joining us here on 7. Well, this research probably won't come as a surprise, but it shows most Australians struggle to take a break from technology. In the case of Gen Z, 3/4 of those surveyed are on their phone 3 minutes before bed and within 30 seconds of waking up. And it's not making them happy.
Heads down, thumbs up. According to new research, phone addiction is far more prevalent than first thought.
I'm 17 and I use it every day. I reckon 4 or 5 hours a day.
A survey found 80% of young people use their phones just before bed, and older cohorts aren't much better. It's 60% of those aged 45 to 59. And most Aussies have their phones front of mind as soon as they wake up. 3/4 of Aussies under 44 reach for it within 3 minutes. Just a third of boomers do the same.
More than half of Australians say they're now trying to reduce the time they spend on social media. Tells us that we've got a problem.
Younger generations might be addicted, they're also acutely aware of it. 7 in 10 believe social media negatively impacts their mental health.
Big tech is designing these algorithms to make us scroll more. It gives us more of what we're looking at, and so it can become very addictive.
According to psychologists, the lack of sleep adds insult to injury.
There's a lot of brain science around now that shows that the brain effectively cleans itself overnight and removes some of those chemicals that contribute to anxiety and depression.
Experts say one way to tackle phone addiction is to get an old-fashioned alarm clock, so people aren't reaching for their device first thing in the morning.
My mum's rule is that I have to charge my phone outside my room.
Smart mum, can you see why she does it?
Yes, definitely. It makes it much easier.
Christy Cooper, 7 News.
New Queensland Resources Council data has revealed that the number of women working in the sector has jumped by 40% in the last financial year. 9 out of 10 women are working in non-traditional roles, including engineering, environmental science and data analysis, and make up 13% of trade roles.
It's very important for a workforce to mirror society, and through mirroring society, it helps to improve the culture of workplaces.
The acting QRC chief says with a serious skilled worker shortage, there's never been a better time for women to look to the sector for a job.
Well, new research suggests dogs love watching TV just as much as humans. In a survey of more than 1,000 owners, 4 out of 5 pups were found to be partial to tuning in, especially when other animals are on the screen.
Whether it's hearing the call of the wild with a nature documentary, relaxing with a good movie, or the excitement of the races, research from the University of Wisconsin in America has now found 80% of dogs tune in when their favourite show comes on. Something owners at one behaviour class in London say they know all too well.
He loves it. He loves barking at all the other dogs, barking at birds, barking at anything he sees, basically.
He likes to watch birds and other animals.
Ruby, who's the brown doggy, was absolutely fascinated by a mother with 1-week-old puppies. She actually got up onto the edge of the TV cabinet and had her nose about an inch away from the screen.
I frequently get calls from clients who need help to stop their dog from barking at the TV, and they're not able to watch any documentaries or any Disney programs or films because their dog is constantly barking at the TV when they do.
Scent detection is something dogs are well known for. Much less is known about their eyesight, and it's hoped this research could help change that. Heather Richardson, 7 News.
Now, there's a good excuse for the dog to sit up on the couch with you, isn't there?
There you go, indeed.
I love that excuse, eh? Another big soccer season about to begin, Nathan.
Yeah, it is indeed, Brough. The recent Kappa Cup expansion and the Intercity Champions League will kick things off over the next few weeks. We'll have more on that next. And from the Country Carnival to a historic T20 final, what a weekend it was for cricket lovers in CQ. And welcome back. Well, there was plenty of cricketing action over the long weekend with the annual Northside versus Southside clash, along with the grand final of the inaugural T20 Premier League. And while Mother Nature had the final say in the North-South clash, the Rams would go on to be crowned the first T20 champs.
The RCG was the place to be on Saturday as the grand final of the first T20 Premier League took place.
It was a fantastic night, we must admit.
Rocky Cricket was the real winner on Saturday night. But yeah, unfortunately for the Rhinos, the Ray White Rhinos, we didn't quite get the job done.
It was a tight affair between the two best teams in the competition, but the Rams proved too good, taking out the trophy, defeating the Rhinos by 4 wickets, with huge contributions from stalwarts Todd Harmsworth and Callum McMahon.
They're good to watch and they're hard to stop as well. So we probably didn't take the chances that we should have really early on. But yeah, credit to those boys. Callum batted really well.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get the job done with some big hitting really from Jacob O'Brien. I think he was 24 off 5 balls at one stage with 4 sixes and a dot. So that kind of got us across the line.
The tournament was a huge success with plans for the second instalment already underway.
I just think it had a bit of everything for everyone. You had the crowd catch going off and you had bit of atmosphere there. You had the players playing with everyone else and different clubs mingling, so you can't really choose a team you got to support. You just got to support the game that we all love, and that's cricket.
Sadly, Mother Nature intervened in the North Side v South Side clash with play abandoned after only 1 innings.
It tends to always happen that way around Country Week. It always tends to the heavens decide the games and that kind of stuff.
Brad Villiers, 7 News.
And then there was the annual Country Challenge, where over 40 teams from across the state took part in the beef capital. Players and spectators alike suffered through those heatwave conditions across the 3 days of the event. But in the end, the first grade turf competition was taken out by the Rolleston Roosters, with young star Sid McCulloch taking 3 wickets in their final match to secure top spot. Well, it's set to be a bumper year for football fans, with new competitions, major events and big changes to the FQPL League. The announcement of the new Men's Kappa Cup starting and the Intercity Championship in early March has fans and players alike excited.
There is no rest for the FQPL, with excitement building for the season ahead.
Absolutely, we just run straight through now, especially with futsal being so popular as well and summer football. It all just rolls into one, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
The new Kappa Cup will see the men's competition play alongside the already established women's event.
It'll start in February and extend into March, depending how far we all go. But it's very exciting to see the two competitions align this year for the male and the female competition.
The new competition will give our regional players the opportunity to test their skills on a much bigger stage.
You know, the likes of the SEQ clubs, you've got Sunshine Coast clubs, Northern clubs, just get a little bit more of a taste of what football looks like outside of their region, and it's so valuable for their development.
Gladstone is also set to host this year's Intercity Championships, which will see the best of the best from Central Coast and Wide Bay go head-to-head in March.
We're really excited to bring it to Marley Brown Oval this year. Obviously, last year we had it at the Fraser Coast Sports Precinct. So 2 great venues. We're excited to have it in Gladstone.
Brad Villiers, 7 News.
Shaping up to be a beautiful year, and that's it for sport tonight. Thanks very much, guys.
Lovely. Thank you, Nath.
All right, we'll stay with us after the break. Livio joins us with all the weather details.
Good evening, Livio, Regano with tonight's weather. Well, post-cyclone humidity has reached epic levels and many Queensland towns are on the verge of breaking records. Heavy rain should hopefully take the edge off maximum daytime temperatures tomorrow in the south and then eventually in the north later this week. Big falls out on the coalfields overnight, especially the Carnarvon Ranges. 83 millimetres at Consuelo. Mount Og had 74 and the Gregory Highway had 26 millimetres. Hot nights have been the real kicker, a direct consequence of the overheated Coral Sea. Rockhampton set a new record this morning with a low of 28 degrees. To the satellite loop now, you can see the spiral nature of ex-Curly still over northwest Queensland, producing flooding rains. Evacuations are present in the area. In the southeast, it's also starting to fill in with heavy rain. We've got saturated atmosphere to depth. You can feel the moisture. It couldn't be possibly fuller with water. It's already started raining heavy on the Darling Downs, and in the next 12 hours, it'll fill in right across the southeast. Now today's chart, monsoon trough across central Queensland. There's the low that was Kirrily sitting right on top of it. Exceptionally humid winds in the tropics coming from the Arafura Sea and crossing the equator. On tomorrow's chart, we have a new trough forming offshore. producing the uplift required for the heavy rain in southeast Queensland. As the southeasterly pushes north later in the week, we'll get that heavy rain in the tropics as well. To the latest now from BOM. Boating forecast for Capricornia waters. Northeasterlies under 10 knots tomorrow, and then on Wednesday that south-southeasterly change finally up to 25 knots and reaching 30 knots potentially on Thursday. As we swiftly sail away from Friday's full moon, our tidal peaks are softening. Tomorrow's high tide's expected around late morning to midday, and it's not that big. Now for the Capricornia district forecast, showers tomorrow with potential severe thunderstorms. Gladstone 32 degrees, Rockhampton 27 tonight, 34 tomorrow, Billow and Yeppoon 32, Central Highlands and Coalfields, showers and possible severe storms, Emerald 25 to 34 degrees, Claremont 35, Moranbah again 34. Looking ahead for Rocky, tomorrow and Wednesday is the expected highest rainfall period. Second half of the week should ease off as days get cooler but still steamy at night. We all know it's been a hot summer, but why does humidity make the heat so much worse? Thing is, you sweat just as much in dry heat, but your sweat evaporates before you even realise it. Evaporation helps carry heat away from your body and keep the skin cool. But on humid days, the air's so saturated it can't evaporate your sweat properly. It's like trying to dry a towel in a damp closet. Perspiration just sticks to your skin and the body has no way of cooling itself. Hope that makes sense, and I hope the heat passes soon. Now it's back to the team.
Yeah, wonderful, Liv. Good on you, mate. Thanks very much for your company, and we'll catch you tomorrow night.
And also just a reminder, you can watch a replay of our news on the 7plus app or catch up on our page, 7news.com.au. And from all of us here, good night.
Good night.